Sportsman here with promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, how are you keeping?
Doing good, thank you. Doing good in Manchester. Nice to be back on home soil.
Katie Taylor, headlining at the Manchester Arena. Talk to me about how she's raised the profile of women's boxing and what she's going to do for the legacy for the next generation of girls that are thinking of gloving up.
Just incredible as an amateur and as a pro. She's been the one who's broken the mould. She's been the one that's inspired that next generation. Firstly introducing women's boxing to the Olympics. She's responsible for that. And then going winning 5 world championships and Olympic gold, and then unifying and becoming the undisputed lightweight world champion, and now moving up to try and become a 2-weight world champion. She's someone that's inspiring because she's always trying to push the boundaries. Tough fight this time around. She's going to be undersized against a very aggressive Christina Linardatou, and she's a good world champion in her own right. So it's going to be interesting to see if she can overcome her.
Anthony Crolla going to the well for one last time. He's alluded to the fact he may struggle in retirement, as lots of fighters do. What's going to be your advice to him as he enters retirement after this last fight?
I think the problem is when you get the buzz out of boxing like Crolla does, a guy who just fills this city with so much excitement, then once that leaves your life, that's a piece of excitement and a buzz that you can't get back. So you have to focus on things you have a passion for. And for him, that's boxing. Obviously his family as well. Great man, great family man. And he needs to stay in the sport. I think he's going to be a brilliant coach as well. Need to get the win on November 2nd. Doesn't want an easy fight. He wants to make sure that he goes out in a proper fight. I'd love to see him leave with a win. Be fantastic. 7 great nights he's given us at the arena. John Murray, Darlis Perez 1, Darlis Perez 2, Barroso, Linares 1, Linares 2, Ricky Burns, and now we're here again. So, looking for him to get the victory.
Moving on to the battle of the YouTubers, KSI and Logan Paul. When you were talking about Mayweather-McGregor back along, you mentioned the fact there's a fine line between it being a circus and what's good for the sport. Is this good for the sport?
Yeah, but it is a circus. It's definitely good for the sport, but it is a circus. I have to be honest with that. I was standing at a press conference going, what the fuck is going on here? And then I looked at the numbers and I saw that 700,000 people were watching the press conference live on their channels. I think 10 million now have watched the press conference. So what's the global audience for this fight going to be? I don't know, in excess of 50 million. If we can retain 1% to this sport, it's massive for the sport. But we've got to work hard to do that. It's not going to be easy. I'd like to retain 10%. But if we can showcase why we love the sport, Devin Haney, Billy Joe Saunders, and show this new audience how great the sport is, we've got a chance. You can't ignore this new world that we live in. Olympic athletes are no longer role models for the younger generation. YouTube stars are. As sad as it may seem, that's the truth. That's the world we live in. We just need to face reality and embrace it and try and use that to keep growing boxing.
Moving on to AJ, when you found out that he'd become disillusioned with the sport, what were your words to him?
Well, I've never really found out that he's become disillusioned to the sport. Sometimes you say things, I think what he was saying is probably disillusioned because I couldn't get the undisputed fight. I'm thinking, when am I going to fight Wilder? And now, Jarrell Miller's failed a drugs test, and now I'm fighting Andy Ruiz, and now I've lost. And yes, I probably are disillusioned with the sport. Now, I've never seen his focus so strong as it is for the Andy Ruiz fight, because he's lost and he's a competitor. So I think right now he's in a great place, and I really believe he's going to win that rematch. But it's going to be a very tough fight.
Did he see a sports psychologist after his first defeat?
He's been seeing a sports psychologist for about 5 years, probably actually since he turned, even before he turned pro. They have it in the GB setup. Every top athlete sees a sports psychologist, and it's great for them just to get their head around where they're at, especially when you become the kind of star he is, and you go from this kid who's grown up in a flat with his mum to can't even walk down the street without getting mobbed. It's not easy to just become that person. So, in every aspect, his preparation has been top drawer, from dietitians to strength and conditioning to psychologists to nutrition, everything. So
he said he's going to make some drastic lifestyle changes. When I spoke to Rob McCracken, he didn't give much away. He said AJ's going to start getting up a bit earlier. Why do you think these drastic changes are required?
Because he lost. So I think AJ will want to be looking at why he lost and think about what he's got to do. I'm not as close to the training camp as Rob McCracken, so I sort of stay out of that. But he knows better than anybody what he's got to do, and he'll make sure he gets it right next time.
Fury Otto Wallin, Las Vegas over the weekend. What did you make of the event, and do you give Fury credit for battling through the sea of blood that he ended up in?
Yeah, for sure. Give every fighter credit. I didn't see the fight. I was on a plane, but Fury was poor, and obviously the cut made it a closer fight than it should have been. They didn't sell any tickets. It was a flat event, but Fury got a load of money. So congratulations to him, and I'm sure in the tougher fights he will perform much better because he's a quality fighter.
Tyson Fury's dad, John, has come out and said that he wants to see the team cleared out. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's surprising. I mean, I thought all was great in the team. You've got to give Ben Davison and those guys credit because they've been part of the team that's kind of revitalised Tyson, although he's had to do it himself. So yeah, something's obviously not right, and maybe that was one of the reasons for the below par performance.
There's rumours that Nigel Benn might be making a comeback. What are your thoughts on that?
Heard that. I think he should just watch Conor. He's a legend. Listen, he knows what he's doing. You can't tell Nigel what to do, but. Yeah, what's he, 50-something? 55. Just watch Conor. Dillian
Whyte, I know he's got a situation to sort out, but what does your gut say in terms of who his next opponent is if he does come back to the ring this year?
If he doesn't, could just be the winner of Wilder against Fury. So we'll have to see. But, hopefully we'll get an announcement in October and he'll be good to fight, maybe even December or January.
Finally, Dave Allinson, worrying social media comments. How is he? Have you spoke to him?
Yeah, he spoke to him. He's okay. Obviously, he pulled out of the Newcastle show. I think it was the right thing to do. I think it's just a sensible thing to do. There's been other times he's gone into the ring when he hasn't been training. This is another one of those times, but this time he's got enough money and sense to say, no, I need to not fight. It's dangerous, and I think he should have the year off, get himself happy, and boxing can take second place till he sorts that out.
Thanks for speaking to the Sportsman.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.